ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for the closing bell with good friend and colleague, Mr. Riley Magnuson. Go follow him at RMags, or something like that, right, Riley? At Riley_Magnuson, the one, a.k.a. Windy City, Riley. How's that one? So I'll come up with something. Anyways, great day. Hope everyone's having a fabulous Friday, as we like to say here. A lot to go over, a lot going on. Big weekend ahead. 4 nations last night. Great job overall. We'll talk about that, of course. Mexico PGA going on right now. UFC Seattle. Tomorrow we'll get Riley's options and what his eyes see there. Small slate in the college hoops. Some NBA as well. Of course, Wemby potentially sounds like done for the year with blood clots on the shoulder. So a lot to catch up on. So shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download that app. It is free. Viva Tequila Seltzer. 6 flavors in all. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. And last but never least, AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. I got a package yesterday, 2 boxes in all. Filet mignon, New York strips, cowgirl, lamb chops, pork chops, burgers. Let's just say Terry hooked us up pretty good. So head on over to Facebook. Introduce yourself to Terry Smith, and while you're there, head over to AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. Steaks, chops, appetizers, you name it, he's got it. And what he also has, I really want people to start, that wants to eat healthy for 2025, 4 subscriptions. Look at the 4 subscriptions, check the box, set it and forget it. Every 30 days, Terry will deliver fabulous cuts of beef, seafood, exactly what you're looking for to eat healthy. The only thing you'll need is another propane tank. So again, AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. So without further ado, Mr. Riley Magnuson. What's up, champ?
What is up, my friend? Happy Friday afternoon. Ready to roll into the weekend here. I'm excited to be back. Talk about, like you said, we got some decent UFC fights. Obviously, some good college basketball rolling into the weekend. A little bit of PGA going on. No big names, obviously, but still a fun little tournament there. So ready to roll into the weekend with some heat coming into this show today.
Well, I'll start with the Four Nations. I talked to a good friend earlier today, and I'll present it to you and everyone watching and listening here. I thought it was a great idea. And four teams, round robin, during the NBA All-Star break, quiet. NFL had just finished, and put some eyes on hockey. And as this thing started building up, then you got to last Saturday, and U.S. beats Canada 3-1. Now it's an epic frenzy. Now everyone's crawling out of the woodwork. USA, USA, and great theater. They go from Montreal to Boston, 2 games on Monday, and unfortunately, anyone that had tickets to the second game, the U.S. They had already clinched Thursday night's game in the championship. So it's not that they didn't try, but they lost on Monday. Canada survives to get to Thursday. Now, all my shows this week, Riley, I'm not saying I had the script, but I could read the script. Canada wins. It's an under 5.5. The question was the tournament going to go 9-0 on first period overs? And it did. It's almost like Hollywood wrote it. Connor McDavid, the game winner. But what I really wanted to point out to everyone, and I know I told this to you, back in, I think it was 19, there was a team called the St. Louis Blues that were like a bazillion to 1 at the turn in January. They fired their coach. The season was over. They caught fire. They made the playoffs. They made it to the Stanley Cup. And oh yeah, by the way, they faced the Boston Bruins. And oh, by the way, Jordan Binnington in net, Game 7 in Boston, and won the Stanley Cup. And my point is, we had the edge with Hellebuck. That was our edge. That's what we were going to stand up and fight. And I just tried to refresh everyone's memory and say, go back. This kid Binnington knows what it's like in a must-win situation at the Garden, Stanley Cup, and whatever they want to call this tournament. So great job by both. The whole NHL. Applaud. 1 year from now in the Olympics in Italy, I think it is. There.
Yep.
The stage is yours.
Yeah. No, I mean, you said it as far as people coming out of the woodwork. I mean, there's so many casual. I mean, I can count on. I probably can't even count on my 2 hands. Just people I know, my friends who are huge sports fans who aren't big, kind of fair weather Blackhawks fans, just in my neck of the woods, who literally learned about this tournament 2 weeks ago. If you're not a huge hockey fan, you probably didn't know this thing was even coming up. And then you learn about it and you get fired up about it because you watch these games and these players care. The speed of the games was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was as a Blackhawks fan who obviously has had some rough seasons and hasn't had really any other than the development of Connor Bedard. Not really rooting. Obviously rooting for the Blackhawks, but not any type of high stakes. It was awesome to be able to root for a team and care about these hockey games like this. So, and you said it, obviously, timing-wise was fantastic. Absolutely, embarrassed, I would say. I mean, the NBA always embarrasses himself these days with their All-Star Game product. But, when you put it in the context, the NHL was kind of in the same boat for the last handful of years. I mean, both All-Star games probably equally as useless and abysmal to watch, and the NHL completely turns it on their head. Like I said, I've got people who didn't even know this tournament existed 2 weeks ago that probably weren't really caring about hockey that are fired up for the second half of the season. So just a win in so many different avenues at a time where the NBA. And I think the NBA is going to heat up now. There's obviously a lot of factors on top of, we've talked about it plenty of times. There's some other factors that obviously have hurt the NBA's ratings these last handful of months. And now I think it's probably go time for people to start tuning into the NBA a little bit more. But, as far as getting people fired up for the second half of the season, it's a different type of conversation right now than it's been in the past handful of years.
And the big loser in this whole tournament was my locals, Boston Bruins. They lose Charlie McAvoy, injured on that Finland game, they said, then played in the Canada game on Saturday, and then was in Boston. at Boston General, at Mass General, excuse me, and for a couple days. Shoulder, then this, that, the other, and it sounds like he's not day to day; he's week to week. He could miss the rest of the year. The locals here at 98.5 Felger and Mass were kind of playing the conspiracy theory. Jesus, now we got to go out and pay him the rest of the year. This was an exhibition game. What are you doing to us? Where the real dirt is, we're trying to make the playoffs to get around to 2 wins so we can get more beer and hot dog sales and get a couple more at the gate here versus the actual health of Charlie McAvoy. But again, they put on a great show. Hats off. Italy next year. And I'll close with this. All those people that crawled out of the woodwork, and it's now, once February comes next year, 2026, Riley, and we're sitting here and you're coming up to your year anniversary from your marriage, and they're getting all USA'd up for the hockey tournament. Here, the Czechs are here, the Russians are here, and all Poland, everyone else is here, and they're looking for that. Hey, wait a minute. This wasn't the same thing that I watched last year, which, again, the Olympics build itself up, of course, but the passion in a 4-team round-robin tournament, they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and lastly, just especially being able to do it in, I mean, you did Montreal for the first USA-Canada game, then bringing it back to Boston, which was planned, obviously, but bringing it, being able to be in those two atmospheres with the home crowds was fantastic. So that is, huge plus for them. You just add something that the players and people care about. So massive stuff there. As far as injuries go, Wemby for the Spurs out for the season. I guess I didn't check today to see if the market had adjusted after any type of flurries, but you go, I don't even know what his odds were, minus 2,000 to win the Depoy Defensive Player of the Year.
Jackson now. Yeah,
Jaren Jackson now. Yesterday it looked like it was minus 110. I was going to see if there was any other type of shift in it, but is that minus 115 on DraftKings? Evan Mobley plus 150. Is that worth a toss in on Evan Mobley, or is the Jaren Jackson train going to be too tough to catch? I mean, minus 115 after I even told you maybe a week or two ago, if you haven't been paying attention to the Grizzlies, John Morant's fun and all, but Jaren Jackson is playing out of his mind.
And it's, you brought it up, and then I saw the big favorite, the move, obviously, and hopefully, of course, Wemby gets healthy sooner than later. They compared it to almost like Chris Bosh. For some of them, it's his height. It's a lot of stuff. I was watching one of the guys on Twitter, Dr. Chow, I think it was, break it down. Most of the people will be fine, but there are certain occasions, like a Chris Boston, something that this could be like career threatening. Obviously, we don't want to see that for Wemby. But again, as soon as they made Jackson the favorite, I says, all right, who's next? I saw Mobley. My eyes flocked right to Mobley right away. Again, Cavs' best record in the East. That made a lot more sense. I'd rather take a plus 150. Nothing against Jackson, as you said. Right. The Grizz are playing great. If you want to sprinkle something there, but my eyes went right to Mobley.
Yep. No. I mean, I haven't looked at the most improved odds, but I mean, Jaren Jackson could be in that conversation as well. I think there's some other guys that are going to get those looks. But anyways, obviously, tough to see because Wemby year 2, I don't remember what his numbers are, but obviously growing and when you're at minus 2,000 or whatever the hell it was in January, February for Depoy in your second year, it's you're doing something right. I mean, if he plays, if he's healthy, he's going to win the next 15 Defensive Player of the Year awards, unless somebody else shows up and is as freakish as he is.
Pull up the standings right now. Where were the Spurs overall when it came to? I'm thinking ping pong balls, of course, but.
They are 24-29. They're outside of the West play-in picture. They're right around kind of a crowded group. Portland right behind them. My Bulls right behind them. Philly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're 10th best or 10th worst record right now.
In the as we like to say, lottery sweepstakes, how far are they from, like, say, the bottom 5? How many wins do they have from the bottom 5?
Toronto's 5th right now. It's 17 wins. Spurs have
So it's
24
eight.
wins. So, but it's a
So
crowded
six.
group. There's in between them and that 15. There's Portland, Chicago, Philly. Who's Embiid's back, so they didn't look good last night. But Philly, Brooklyn, and then Toronto's that last team there.
So when I get the news, of course, I'm like, and I'll be honest here. I'm an open book. I was like, of course, it's the NBA. Of course, All-Star break. Hey, let's tank a palooza here. And then I read more into it. And, again, that was just the first thought process, the conspiracy theory. But can you imagine this? Let's just say they stink the rest of the way. They get into the lottery, and magically they get the number 1 pick. And now it's Wemby and Cooper Flag.
That would be unreal. I obviously my own allegiances are hoping they do a little rigging it up for one of the 3 biggest markets to get a star in Chicago. But as far as entertainment wise, that would be awesome. I mean, especially obviously hoping that Wemby is back and as healthy as ever next year. It's just he's such a likable guy too, and so with how freakish he is, the combinations of other players with him is so interesting. So that would be fun. I would not be opposed to that. I know, the Spurs. They were at a point where people were hating them. They won 5 titles in 15, 20 years, whatever it is, and now I think that's worn off and people don't care about it anymore. But anyways. Cooper Flag to Chicago is obviously where my hope is lying right now. But like I said, it's a crowded group. You got Washington. Washington's going to be the worst team, but New Orleans, Utah, and Charlotte all within 1 game fighting for the bottom, the second and third. Because the bottom 3 all get 14%. I think it is.
PGA Mexico. And it's kind of comical. Here's your leaderboard. Geiger, -16 with a 4-shot lead at Mr. Jaeger at -12. Aaron Rye, -11. Ben Griffin, 10. BHATIA, 10. Valmaki, Jared, Roy, Svensson. Here's what I want to say about this. We're doing our one and dones. We do a show every Wednesday with Brady Cannon. I reach out to my partner and I say, it's a tough week here. The names, we don't want the BHATIA train because the whole world's going to be on him. I says, I think Ben Griffin, he's too popular. So we're sifting through the names. And I says, you know what? Because my partner has been taking guys and then not doing well. And then the following week or 2 weeks later, those guys that he took 2 weeks ago are winning. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take one of your guys that you already played. And that's Kitayama, who's -2, who couldn't make a 3 or 4 putt. He missed 5 of them yesterday, by the way. He shot -1. He should have been about -5 or 6. But my point is this, is my closing thought, Riley, on the situation was there's a guy I'm fixated in. And no one on social media is talking about him. And my buddies work his data. He didn't make his top 20. And he goes out and shoots -7. And that was Aaron Rye today. And I just looked at the leaderboard and I'm just vomiting in my mouth. I think he's -10 now for the tournament. 6 shots back, of course. But my point is, here's Kitayama, -2. And a pitch and putt, not a pitch and putt, but a high scoring birdie fest, as we like to say it. Yeah. One of those thanks for playing, Riley.
Right. And there's still guys out on the course. I think the majority of those guys that are at the top are finished for round 2. But Potgeiger, 4-shot lead, and he's still +190. So, I think there's a chance for some other guys here. They never give the respect to these, these tournaments without the big names. When someone's got a 4 or 5-shot lead after day 2, they typically don't give these guys much respect. But Aaron Rye, I mean, that one, I think you and I talked about a decent amount in tournaments like these last year. And, just looking through what he did last year, he had a solid year. So definitely a guy that I think probably will start getting more respect in these type of fields if he continues to be in them and be in contention there. Because you're right, BHATIA obviously is the popular name. He was the favorite, but the one guy that people have fallen in love with, so people are going to be flooding to him. So, Potgeiger -340 for top 5. So I think they're thinking he's going to hang on to some degree, but maybe not for the win. We'll see.
UFC Seattle tomorrow. Volkanovski versus Diego. Oh no, actually, let me backtrack here. Let's get to UFC Seattle in a second. I was breaking this news because it came out the night before yesterday with Lou Finicaro at Fight Night Fortunes here every Thursday at 3. We're going to get jiggy with it. UFC 314 Saturday, April 12th. I actually was just talking to my wife, and I'm thinking about going down there for that weekend to do a little UFC work, maybe tiptoe into the stadium to catch a couple fights, rub some elbows with a few people, maybe get something, make something work there. But it is also the Masters week, and I'm like, oh my God, do I want to be in South Beach for a UFC weekend while the Masters is going on? So I got to weigh that out. But Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez and Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Does that do anything for you?
That does do it for me. I mean, Michael Chandler, these fights with him have been entertaining. They're finally given, or I shouldn't say finally, but giving Paddy Pimblett a shot to show up on a bigger stage. He's obviously had a lot of fights going going his way, and the publicity going his way. Diego Lopez, though, I think is a guy that's real underrated. So that one is interesting to me. Volk, I'm seeing only -170. At least this is on. I'm just looking at the ESPN app right now, but -170 against a guy that has been coming up, but I think maybe the average fan isn't as aware of him. His last fight against Brian Ortega a few months ago was probably the first time that people really got to see him. Unless you're obviously a diehard, then you know exactly who he is. But that does it for me. I like that fight. These Volk fights have been entertaining, and I think Diego Lopez could give him a real run for it and give him a shot. I mean, Volk coming off of a kind of an ugly stretch, but obviously trying to do some historic stuff and whatnot there. But, I mean, the rest of the fight card itself, you've got I think there's more to be announced as well, if I'm not mistaken. So there could be some better fights. But even the undercard, you got Dom Reyes fighting Jeff Neal, Dan Ige. So that one is definitely one that I'm looking forward to. More so, no disrespect to some of the other cards, but that one is one that I'm for sure excited for as compared to some of these other ones.
Can we give an update on the odds for the real bad man, Mr. Alex Pereira?
Let's see. That's 313, correct?
I think it is, yes.
At least according to ESPN, it's -120 for Alex Pereira. I don't know. That one's good too. You got Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker on the co-main event for that one. So we got some good stuff coming up in the UFC.
UFC Seattle is oh my God, I got a brain fart. As we were talking about it with Lou, 11 fights, 6 fights with at least 170 pounds or more, as Lou likes to say, big man violence. Fluffy Hernandez versus Allen there. That got steamed up to about -200. And then Mr. Dong versus, was it Cueto? There where Lou basically says, kind of playing out the string, and was it YaDONG should have a field day here?
Yeah, Song YaDOng. I was going to say, this is an interesting one because you got CEJUDO, obviously, you can't take away what he did when he was at his best. But, and to his credit, the last 2 fights, it's Merab and Sterling that he lost after a long layoff. But I do think that CEJUDO is, maybe should be looking down the rankings a little bit beyond Song YaDOng, because he is really dangerous. His only losses in recent history are Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. He's fought some other bad guys in those weight classes. So I'm with you on that one. I think, especially when you look at the name and anyone sees CEJUDO and the big plus money, I think the average fan's gonna be flocking to that. So I'm with it 100%. I think Song YaDOng has a big day there. The one that I'm interested in, we've only seen him fight a few months ago and got a bounce back win. Rob Font plus 130 against the guy who I haven't seen much, but he's undefeated, minus 155 for Matsumoto. And I think this is third fight in the UFC. Hasn't fought the stiffest competition. Rob Font's another guy where you could probably say he's obviously getting closer to retirement as well. Not a great he's 2-4 in his last 6 fights, but the losses are Jose Aldo in 21, Marlon Vera, Corey Sandhagen, and Davison Figueiredo. So he's fighting a murderer's row these last 3-4 years. Got a bounce-back win against Kyler Phillips last time out. So that's an underdog Rob Font that I'm looking for. Typically, when you see an undefeated 25-year-old up against the guy who's 37, that's the name that people might know. It's minus 300, 350. So that one was a little interesting to me, where I thought Rob Font might have a little bit of a chance in that one. The other one with an underdog, Ricky Simon, a guy who's lost his last 3 fights, including one to Song Yadong that we were just talking about there. Fought some really tough fights. Was on a really nice 5-fight win streak before that one, was starting to make a name for himself. So he's plus 185. The guy he's fighting is very, very good. But one guy that I think, at the very least, if you're giving me some plus money, he's going to go down with a really, really good fight. I just wouldn't have put it at plus 185 if I'm handicapping that one myself. So saw some value, at least, in Ricky Simon at plus 185 there.
Yeah, and Lou brought up one of the early fights, the actual only hometown guy, which it's not technically Seattle. It was based out of Washington, was the Costa kid fighting Filet. He had Costa opened up plus 175, now minus 105. Is that right now?
Costa, I'm seeing minus 120, so still kind of right around that range there. That one's an interesting. I was going to say some of these fights are one where you haven't seen these guys much. I've seen both that fight. I've seen both those guys fight, but a lot of guys on this undercard. That's another one where it's good to watch some of these fights, take some stock, and see what you like and see what you don't like out of some of these guys. But we got some good Brazilians on this card, actually, on top of obviously the Americans holding it down for the American fans, but some good Brazilians that should put up some good fights in this one this weekend.
College hoops next Saturday, March 1st. Conference tournament will be around the corner. March Madness starting. This is where the rubber meets the road. You're either gonna figure this out or you're not. And I was working last night and I'm watching the scroller and I had to double check because I saw the halftime score. And I thought one of the teams stayed in the locker room. What in holy hell happened to Ohio State last night?
I don't know. I was actually pulling that one up, sitting down. I didn't realize. I was thinking that game was later, so I actually missed the first the initial beatdown that happened out of the gates on that one. But I turn it on and it's already a 20, 30-point game. I didn't even remember what the score is, and then I'm just waiting for the hockey game and the next one to come on. But no, that's a tough one to lose to North. I mean, Northwestern's not a bad. They're bottom of the Big Ten, but it's obviously a deep Big Ten, so it's not a total embarrassment. But when you lose by that many and you're trying to make a push for the tournament, that is a tough blow to take. But we got a couple good games tonight and this weekend, obviously. One good game tonight, Michigan State, that I'm real excited for. That's obviously a massive one for the regular season title. Or 1 and 2 losses for Michigan, 3 losses for Michigan State. And you got Wisconsin, who's playing well right now, on their heels. So I'm interested in this game tonight, but I'm interested to see Michigan State after kind of hitting that midseason lull, has kind of gotten their feet back under them. Amazing second half against Illinois, shut them down. I think that game was on during the first USA-Canada game. But for anyone who didn't watch, there was like an 8-10 minute stretch or something like that where Illinois had -2 points or something like that because they during the stretch had a goaltending call from about 5-6 minutes before that got taken off. So technically had a stretch where they had -2 points. So Michigan State kind of firing back on all cylinders. But Michigan has not lost since it seems like ages ago, that game against Purdue on that Friday night that they got blown out by, came back and has already beaten Purdue in that stretch. So Michigan's playing really well right now. Respect the favorite spot for them. I think this is going to be a really, really solid game. But I just like the way both teams are playing. So I don't really have a side on that one other than I think it's going to be a really damn good game tonight.
I'm looking, just playing the tapes back in my head. You know my love affair for UCLA. Um, the Ducks playing better. Illinois banged up, injuries. You
Yeah.
talked about Michigan, Michigan State, and then our Terps are just beating teams now by 40. Eh, Give me your thought process on, I didn't even mention, of course, Purdue, but give me a temperature report on the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I still am I've been saying it all year. I still don't know that either of these, 4 or 5 teams are good enough to go through a gauntlet of a turn. I mean, if any of these teams get a good draw, I mean, there's, you could have a lot of teams that win some games in the first weekend and whatnot, and, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 teams that make a deep run. I'd still be surprised to see any of these teams go through if they had to go through a Duke and Auburn or a Houston, Tennessee type of stretch where they're playing 2 of the top 10 teams. I would still be hard pressed to see them going through all of those type of teams on a big run like that. But I mean, you've got those teams that are playing. I would say those 5 teams are playing in form right now. Purdue, obviously, the one that maybe not so much, but that's because they just played Wisconsin and Michigan State and Michigan in a 3 games in a row gauntlet, and those teams are playing at their best. So Purdue may be the one team that's not, but you can't really fault them too much as long as they get back on track this weekend. But yeah, Illinois, obviously, a few weeks ago, we were looking at that team as the one that kind of looked like the sneaky team to be maybe one of the best teams in the conference, if not the best. But yeah, banged up. You lose Moretz. They got apparently some type of virus that's been going through the locker room. They look terrible against Wisconsin the other day. So now, I mean, as far as if they win tomorrow, they play Duke tomorrow at Illinois, random non-conference game in February. So obviously not as big of a game because it wouldn't be a bad loss for you. But you're essentially punching your ticket if you beat Duke in that game there. I think it would be surprising to see Illinois fall off to the point where they wouldn't be in the tournament. But 17-10. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. But you keep losing and you keep going through an ugly stretch, and you never know what could happen, especially if you get bounced in the Big Ten tournament early in that case for Illinois there.
Illinois, per Ken Palm, has them losing 82-73. Then they get Iowa at home, and then they got a tough 2. They go to Michigan, where Ken Palm's got them losing 82-79, and then their senior day, their last game at home versus Purdue, probably a big game for them there, and they got them beating Purdue 80-78. Last question on the Big Ten. Do you, I don't want to say fear, but the 2 teams out west that are now apart there, Oregon or UCLA, can you see one of them making a run here?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a Mick Cronin team make that type of run themselves in a tournament before. So I could absolutely see that from either of those teams. I mean, we've seen Oregon look really, really good at times. So Oregon, I think, is a team that's streaky that if they caught lightning in a bottle could make they could be a 6-7 seed that makes an awesome NCAA tournament run. UCLA, a little bit of a different type of team that could just be some matchup problems for some teams. That one would be probably more dependent on who they draw in the tournament, where, if it goes their way, they could, win a couple games, get to the second weekend. I would be surprised to see them make it past the second weekend, but easily could see them in the second weekend for sure. They got to avenge their loss to Minnesota this past week. That's obviously not a fantastic one. And now they get an Ohio State team who just got embarrassed and is firmly on the bubble in Ohio State. So they're gonna get Ohio State's probably best shot. I think that's on Sunday this week. So we'll see what they're made of. But yeah, I could absolutely see it from either of those teams.
And Wisconsin, our fall question all year. Is he coming back? What are they doing? What in holy hell did Wisconsin decide to do in football yesterday?
Did I miss something? I might have missed something, honestly.
The coach, I think they gave him an extension to 31 or 32.
I might have seen this, honestly. No, I think I'm a little out of this. Oh, Fickle extension. Okay. Um, I think they're just trusting. They obviously haven't seen the full experience out of Fickle yet. It is surprising to me. I think they're worried that the grass isn't necessarily greener. It is a good program to take over, but it's not obviously a program that's readily. You get a coach who comes in and tweaks a few things, and it's not like they're going to be a playoff team next year by any means. So Fickle's still got a lot of work to do. It is bizarre that they extended now through 2031, but what is it, 7.8 million per year? So really, really trusting that he's got about 5 levels to go up for the program there. So. I am surprised by it, especially because the Wisconsin fan base is not bought in themselves on the Fickle experience to this point, especially because I think when they brought him in, they were excited about the possibility of competing in a different way than they had before because it did have a ceiling. But now that you've taken them out of the picture and they're kind of a borderline top 25 team every year and in recent years not really being a factor at all, I think they would much rather go back to the run it 40 times and have 4 or 5 offensive line draft picks every year and hate their quarterback, whoever it is. But they're obviously they're going for it. So if he doesn't do anything I'll give him 2 years to get to 9-10 wins, and if that doesn't happen, he's probably going to be on the outs at that point.
Yeah, and I think outside looking in, you got Ohio State national champs. They obviously extend Ryan Day. Penn State into the Final Four there. Their coach Franklin's not going anywhere. You take in the Oregon Ducks that have been knocking now on the door for the last few years. You still got Michigan now trying to bounce back from a couple years ago. I think you're trying to put yourself in position to say, all right, we believe. We don't think there's anything out there. So here, we're going to give you the extension, but just let you know what the fine print says. You got 2 to 3 years here to get us up into that level.
Yeah, I was going to say they need to even a season where it looks a lot better and they win 9-10 games. Obviously, they want more than that. But, I mean, you named all those guys. You got Cignetti in Indiana, who's essentially taking Wisconsin's place as far as that 4th team, as far as an outside contender, not a national title contender, but a team that's in the mix, kind of taking that place that Wisconsin had for so long. So obviously, they're one more year, and if they don't win 6 games next year, then it might be a wrap after next year. But 2 more years before they really got to get going there.
Well, it's year 3 with Mr. Matt Rule in Nebraska, so you can mark it on your calendar. The Cornhuskers are back. They'll be knocking at that door. They'll be knocking on the top 12. They're going to get into the dance next year, Riley. Mark my word.
I'm with you. I think they will, and they're going to be looking like a. I guess they're also trying to take that spot themselves. So Wisconsin, I mean the feeling in Wisconsin is not that optimistic as we currently speak right now. It's going to take at least 8-9 wins for them to start believing that after this next year.
Well, you always got Wisconsin hockey, so don't worry about it.
Go.
So,
yeah.
NBA tonight, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games in all. Just with the eye test, a couple good ones. Memphis at Orlando. Memphis opened 2.5, now 3.5 point favorites there. The stench of the night, obviously, Milwaukee at Washington. Opened at 7.5, now down to 6 there. New York at Cleveland, 8.5. Miami at Toronto. Your Detroit Pistons, 4.5 point favorites on Friday night at San Antonio there. Late night Oklahoma City at Utah, 15.5. And Golden State, 2-point favorites against Sacramento at Sacramento. The stage is yours, sir.
I was going to say, I'll throw another kind of sticky one your way as well, because as of right now, it does look like Kyrie is playing, but obviously we could learn something new here. But 5.5 point favorites for the Mavericks, who have actually been playing well without Anthony Davis and after that trade. So A Pelicans team 13-42. That one was a little stinky to me as well. What was the other one? Wouldn't call it stinky by any means, but Grizzlies -3.5. Orlando last night, I believe. Last night gets a nice win against Atlanta. Paolo Banchero looked really, really good. Franz Wagner has been back for a few weeks now, but they were starting to look better right before the All-Star break and looked solid, at least defensively last night. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner looking good offensively. So I'll give a little nod to Orlando tonight. I think you might have mentioned it last week that Orlando's probably going to start chipping away and getting some more wins under their belt here and kind of climb back up the East ranks. So I'll go with a nice cover and maybe even a win for Orlando there. Miami at Toronto, also a little stinky, but Miami obviously a completely different team. They're much worse than what the record would say. At least right now, they did not finish the before the All-Star break well at all. But Toronto is an atrocity. So 2.5 still seemed a little stinky on my end. But I implore anyone to you don't need to watch the Heat and Raptors tonight on a nice Friday night like this one. So other than that, Knicks last night kind of playing around with my Bulls, took them to overtime, barely beat them in Cleveland, 8.5-point dogs. Looked a little sluggish, the Knicks last night, a little rusty. So it wouldn't surprise me if that continues a little bit here into tonight against this Cleveland team.
No, I agree there. And the last game I wanted to cover, nice game, 9:40. Minnesota at Houston opened up at 4 with the 216. Some money came in on Minnesota now 3 with the 221.5 at the circa right now. I actually do lean Minnesota, and I actually do lean towards the over there.
Yeah, that one is a good. I think that's an ESPN game. That's going to be a good one to watch tonight. Both these teams are good teams, and Minnesota's been playing better. Kind of starting to look like the team we were expecting them to look like, at least a lot closer. No Fred Van Fleet for the Rockets tonight. He's been out for a minute now, still out. So I'm with you. That one is definitely worth watching, and I'll go with the Wolves as well on that one. Ugly one, Thunder and Jazz, and then Warriors Kings could be halfway decent in the late one as well tonight.
Yeah, Warriors, I have no faith in, even though it is what it is. The NBA can't win right now, and I'm just chalking it up for a lost year. It doesn't matter what they do. The ratings have never been lower. For me personally, it's March Madness, it's Conference Championship, it's pitchers and catchers. As we're getting ready for warmer weather, before you know it, we'll be talking Masters. Once the NBA gets to the playoffs, which team will be the team to give the Celtics the most threat in the East, of course, and out West? Is it OKC versus the World here? I still don't know. And I said, listen, someone asked me, what can the NBA do? And I says, here's what they can do. They won't do it. We know they won't cut 82 games to 62. We know they won't do that because the owners don't want to lose money. The midseason tournament is nothing like what we just saw with the Four Nations. The All-Star weekend is nothing what it used to be. The dunk contest, the three-point, it's all propaganda. It's all a money grab. Two things, and they won't do either one of them. They won't. But you extend the paint to the international, the European. You widen that, number one. And here's number two. Why aren't people watching the NBA? Because it's a three-point shooting contest. The Celtics destroyed whoever last night because they hit like 60% from three, and they're a team that averages 43 pointers. You know what I do? I take the three-pointer out of the game. If you want to shoot from the logo, you get 2 points, just like I did when I got a layup or an alley-oop. I'm taking the three-pointer out of the game, and I'm extending the paint. And let's go back to some old-school basketball for a few years and see what happens.
Right. They like you said, they would never do all of them decent suggestions. They wouldn't. They as you know, and you said it, they're not going to do anything. I think the simple one that they should do, and maybe I could see them doing is I still don't. Shortening the season is such a good idea to me to make the games matter more, because regular season nobody cares at all, whether it's the players actually playing or the people watching it, because they know the players aren't giving it. In some cases, they're giving it their all, but not like it should be when it's this high level of basketball. But I mean, if stars like an Embiid or I'm sure down the road if he is back and healthy, Wemby. If stars aren't playing back to backs, then we have to shorten it at least a little bit so that we can eliminate back to backs. I mean, or decentivize sitting out, which they've tried to do, and it works to some degree, but not really. So they have to at least try something. You look at all these other leagues that are willing to make changes. Obviously, the MLB has made some changes that have been positive. The NHL does some even in-season changes sometimes. So I think they have to at least try something here. Otherwise, if they don't try something, I mean, this the same narrative is just going to pick up more and more steam, and people just aren't going to watch. I don't know, extend the 3-point, because they're not going to take out the 3-point. I would be okay with what you said because I miss just good hard-nosed basketball at the end of the day. But extend the 3-point line, make it less valuable shot. Or less, take away the percentages that teams are shooting at. Extend it to some degree, for God's sakes. But like you said, probably not going to do it. I do think they're going to try something at some point. I just don't know what exactly it would be.
Closing thoughts, sir.
Closing thoughts. Just ready to rock for a good day of college basketball tonight and tomorrow. You've got a couple top 10 matchups tomorrow. Some good Kentucky, Alabama. Yeah, hopefully Illinois looks better. You got Duke, Illinois, and you get an actual team, hopefully, playing against Duke instead of the G League, ACC, or whatever you want to call it there. But no, nothing too crazy. Just ready to roll for some good college basketball and UFC and everything else going on this weekend.
For me, a quiet night in the office here back in Cape Cod. Got some snow, sleet, and rain a couple times. High winds are finally gone, thank God. Internet and Mother Nature still undefeated here. Getting excited for a great day of college hoops tomorrow. ECSI VIPs, 1-1 last night. 6-1 our last 7 in our first half team total over. So we'll see if we can dig deep and maybe stay the Da Vinci Code being cracked there. Any questions, comments, concerns, everyone can head on over to eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Top right corner, plans and pricings for as little as $3 a day. You can get all our plays sent to you. We're trying to duplicate something we did in 2017, something that will never be matched again. Conference Championship and March Madness. We went on a historic 30-2 run. And so we hope we can duplicate that. We've had a lot of 19-2s, 20-2s, but 30-2 is special. So keep an eye on us there. If you have long-term aspirations, send me an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com, and we'll find the package. We'll set it up very cozily with your budget and what you wager and invest on a game-to-game basis. But like I said, for $3 a day, an ECSI VIP, welcome to the family. Your own gym membership, $99 a month for a team that doesn't sleep, a team that follows 50 sports books around the clock. Get every alert, every beep, every whistle, what's going on, and we're your own sports broker. So enjoy yourself. Don't be the pizza man this week or weekend. Get home, take care of the family. Bring the pizza home at 7 o'clock. Don't be out and about trying to hit the 7 o'clock and the 10 o'clocks. And next thing you know, the pizza's on the oven. You come home at 11:30 and there's the pillow and the blanket on the couch. So behave yourselves. Myself and Riley will be back Monday, 5 p.m. Until then, come follow us at EC Sports Invest or Riley at Riley_Magnuson1. Everyone, thank you so much for a great, great week. Enjoy yourselves, behave, and we will see you soon.